Knock, knock. Who's there? Friends, countrymen, and the Radiant Rank family, lend me your ears. So what's done is done. Today is the new day and a new video. What's in the name that we call a rose by any other name shall smell sweet? By now I'm guessing this will be ringing bells in your minds. Yes, you are thinking correct. So let's get into it. But before that, make sure you smash the like button and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already, because this video is going to be amazing, I promise. And when you subscribe to our channel, don't forget to hit the little notification bell so you get a notification when our videos are posted out on YouTube. Without further ado, let's get into this video. Friends, by now I guess you would know where these famous dialogues are from. The most famous, William Shakespeare, the author of plays and stories. So first, let's know a little bit about him before we get to talk about his books in detail. I'm also going to guide you through his collection and how and where to get started with reading his books. I'm pretty sure that, as most of you would know, that Shakespeare is one of the most famous writers in history. The well-spoken playwright is still recognized by all generations, which is unlikely to change anytime soon. So I'm just going to state the best facts about Shakespeare to inspire you to appreciate his impressive works even more. So William Shakespeare was born sometime in April 1564. That's 500 years ago. His exact birth date is unknown. He was born in Warwickshire in the United Kingdom, where he also grew up. The total count of his surviving works consists of about 39 plays, 154 sonnets, 2 narrative poems, and other unclassified works. Shakespeare's plays have been translated into every major language of the world. Most of Shakespeare's works were written between 1589 and 1613. The earlier of his plays were mostly comedies and histories, and considered some of the best work he created. Shakespeare is most famous for his plays, like, suppose, Hamlet, Romeo, and Juliet. There are many more facts about him, but did you know that some of the most commonly used quotes which we use in our everyday life are actually from Shakespeare? Yes, that's the fact. Some very common examples that I can think of right now are like, knock knock, who's there? And all that glitters is not gold. So now when you say this, just imagine that you are quoting Shakespeare. Wow! So friends, I would like to tell you today why Shakespeare is such a good read. According to me, there are a few reasons for it. First of all, I think his books show creativity. The plots in his plays are always unexpected. Reading his plays will allow us to experience literature in a way they may not be familiar with as yet. Second reason, it is challenging, inspiring, stimulating. Reading and learning Old English is a skill that gets sharpened when reading Shakespeare's plays. Once you begin to understand them, you will be able to read other classic books from that period of time. It is a great way to build your eagerness and stimulate your brain is to read some of Shakespeare's works that he did. My third reason, they are historical and cultural references in them. Shakespeare's Shakespeare's books provide a gateway to a time in history that is worlds apart from how we live today. It will teach you about the English culture, traditions, and practices prevalent in those days. Next would be extraordinary storylines. The great thing about Shakespeare was his ability to write great plots. Some may say that Shakespeare's writing has inspired many of today's best modern works. Next would definitely be powerful characters. Something I believe that cannot be disputed is the fact that Shakespeare's characters are so very full of depth. So he explains each character in depth. Shakespeare had a wonderful way of exploring his characters and describing their emotions. Last of all, so my last reason, there is one thing Shakespeare is still very known for. His powerful portrayal of words and the famous quotes we still hear today from his works. Well, as we all know, that all of Shakespeare's books are worth a read. Each of them are very special, making it very difficult to curate a list of his best works. While you may want to start with the complete works of William Shakespeare, it could be a bit much for a first-timer. So I have something interesting to show you. Waha! Yes, this is the collection of the short stories of Shakespeare. For first-time readers, this is definitely a great start. What I like about this collection is that they are easy to understand, simpler language with graphics like this, which makes it easy to comprehend. Now, my mom got this for me only to get me introduced to Shakespeare and make it fun reading, right? She bought this 2 years back, but still, even today, I love reading them. It was a great start and gave me an idea and gist of the storyline. Now, even if I have to read the big original books of his, it will get easier to understand. Yes, I may sit with the dictionary all the time because there are many complicated words in the books. So I'd suggest to all, especially those of my age and younger, which is about 10 years old, to not be scared of reading Shakespeare. I know, when you think of Shakespeare, the only thing that first comes to mind is the language. How are we going to read and understand it? So don't worry, get these books and get started reading. But wait, also, which book would you start with is a question, right? Yes, there are many types again. Let me help you with that too. So what's the best reading order for the complete works of Shakespeare? This is only my personal suggestion for you guys to get started on your reading of Shakespeare. This is entirely up to you guys, but I would suggest working together on comedies, histories, and tragedies. You'll see a lot of collections of the complete works of Shakespeare. So everybody, now let's go through the collection that I have. And here is the collection. Now let's go through all of the books. So we have 16 books in the collection, and I'll just quickly run through all of them. So here we have Romeo and Juliet. We have Othello, Henry V, Hamlet, The Merchant of Venice, Twelfth Night, As You Like It, A Midsummer Night Dream, Julius Caesar, Much Ado About Nothing, The Taming of the Shrew, The Tempest, King Lear, Antony and Cleopatra, Richard III, or Richard III, and last but not least, Macbeth. So those are the 16 books of Shakespeare's collection. Okay, so I have sorted it out into the 3 categories. This is the history, this is tragedy, and this is comedy. So everybody, I'll just run you through the books that are in the comedy section first. So first is The Taming of the Shrew. Then is The Twelfth Night. Then is The Merchant of Venice. Also, The Merchant of Venice is part of the tragedy too. Then is As You Like It, A Midsummer Night Dream, Much Ado About Nothing, and The Tempest. So these are all the books that are in the comedy section. Now the tragedy section. Hamlet, Julius Caesar, Romeo and Juliet, Macbeth, Othello, Antony and Cleopatra, and King Lear. Then for the history, there's Richard III and Henry V. So definitely go in for comedy first. There are a few reasons why. It would mainly be, first of all, mistaken identity or many misconceptions. Secondly, reason versus emotion. Thirdly, fate and fantasy. Fourth, perfect settings. 5, separation and reconciliation. And number 6, of course, a happy ending. And my favorite one in the collection of the comedy is this one, Merchant of Venice. Well, why do I like it and why is it my favorite? It is my favorite book because there is a lot of conflict happening in this book. And then at the end, of course, like, there is some harm, but then comes a happy resolution at the end of the book. And that's why it is my favorite book, The Merchant of Venice. So now coming to the tragic section. My favorite tragic book is Othello. Well, why do I love Othello so much? Because when Shakespeare has written all of his tragic books, it shows the struggle between the good and the evil. And in the tragic books, it starts off with a good note, but then in the middle of the book, it starts to get bad, fighting, killing happening, and then at the end is the sad ending. I love Othello through the way it has been structured and written. And that's the reason why I love Othello. So now, coming to history, the 4 most prominent are appearance and reality, change, order and disorder, and conflict. And now, in these 2 books, which one is my favorite? Henry V. So why is Henry V my favorite? That is because I personally feel that this book, not only is it history, but I also feel it's part of tragic too. Because many people in Henry V also die. I like this book because when I read in the middle of the book to the ending, there was a kind of misunderstanding between the characters, and that's how they all tend to die. And that is why I love the Henry V book. All well that ends well. There is nothing either good or bad, but thinking makes it so. So what are you waiting for, guys? Get the Shakespeare books and start reading them. Trust me, you will love it. This was a very nice video and I loved it so much, sharing my collection of Shakespeare books with all of you. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to smash that like button. And if you haven't already subscribed, do subscribe as this was an amazing video. And also, when you subscribe, don't forget to hit the notification bell so you get a notification when our videos are posted out on YouTube. Love all, trust a few, but do wrong to none. See ya!